Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you here to the Crosby Center. I'd like to open up with a word of prayer, if we could, please. Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so very much for this opportunity to be here in the town of Belfast, to do the missionary work, Lord, that you've commissioned us to do, Lord. We thank you for the healthcare message, the right arm of the gospel. We'd like to thank Walt and Mary Lee Cross, Lord, for being here and being a part of this work with us, Lord. We pray that souls will be won for you and that we can be good ambassadors, Lord, in sharing the healthcare message as well as the gospel in this community, Lord. I pray that you will just empty each of us of self, fill us with your Holy Spirit, so your words, thoughts, and actions come from us. Help us to be a shining reflection of Jesus. And we pray that everything that's said and done here, Lord, is to your honor and glory, and that we learn the messages that you have for us so that we can be healthier and that we can share this with the community and our family members. I ask this in Jesus' name, I pray. So, our first topic here at 4 o'clock that Walt will be speaking about are herbs and their benefits. And I'm sure that we will all be blessed by the information that we receive here and take it and use it for our own healing as well as with sharing with the community. And again, I thank you all for being here. At this time, I'd like to introduce Walt Cross to come and speak with us once again. Thank you.
This afternoon, we'd like to take a look at herbs. Last night, we looked at herbs in the essential oil standpoint. Today, I'd like to look at just herbs in general, which you could use either as a bulk herb, or you could use as an extract, or you could use as an essential oil. So what we're learning this evening is just herbs in general. Last night was more specific to extracts. When we look at herbs that people are used to looking at, these are some herbs that you may be used to at home in the kitchen: basil, cayenne pepper, cilantro, clove, fennel, fenugreek, garlic, ginger, nutmeg, oregano, parsley, rosemary, sage, turmeric, and thyme. Can anyone tell me what one of the biggest mistakes people make with herbs in the kitchen? Pardon? No.
Using too much.
The location. They'll put them right by the stove, and it's hot, and it's not as healthy on them just to get real hot. So you don't want to store your herbs right by the stove. It's better to, I know it's convenient, but you don't want them to get too hot cooking. Some herbs, it's fine to cook, it's not a problem. Cayenne pepper, which is the second one there. Cayenne pepper, when you cook cayenne pepper, it changes the chemical structure and it can become an irritant. But if you cook the food, then put your cayenne in it, then it's not an irritant. And so it's perfectly fine and has many, many medicinal benefits. How herbs can be used: teas, extracts, capsules, essential oils, poultices, fomentations. Any questions on that one? Okay, yes?
What's the difference between a poultice and a fomentation?
Okay, good question. A fomentation is where I would take a tea And you can actually use essential oils as a fomentation, but I like using teas. So let's say a person had problems with leg spasms. Now, leg cramps, muscle cramps, that kind of thing, 75% of that is usually magnesium deficiency. I look at hydration, I look at potassium, I look at iron. But let's say you're having spasms, or you're having an organ spasm, some organ is spasming. We had a lady come in and she had pancreatitis, and the pancreas was spasming. And so the physician said, we need to do something for this spasm that's going on. Or let's say a back spasm. And so what you can do is you can take lobelia, or as the mountain ladies call lobeli, and you can make a strong tea out of it, put your cloth in it, squeeze it out, not totally, and apply it to the area, and the tea will transdermally go in. That's a fomentation. Let's say that you have a wound that you'd like to get in, you'd like to really saturate it with golden seal, and you want to do more of a fomentation or a soak in it versus just put it in a salve. It'd be really expensive to put enough golden seal in the foot bath. So you can make a fomentation, apply it to the area, which has that golden seal in it, and it's still kind of soppy, and it transdermally will go into the wound area that you're wanting to use that golden seal. So let's say we're wanting to use lobelia, and lobelia is an excellent antispasmodic. Make it kind of strong, and then apply it to the area, and it helps. Now, lobelia, real strong by mouth, is actually a spasmodic, and it will work like ipecac, or like circlip ipecac. Your poultice is where, let's say you've got a lady with breast cancer, and poke doesn't grow up here, does it? No. Okay. So let's say we're using poke. Poke is an herb that grows in the South, very prolific. It's what my garden grows best. And it's just a weed, but it's a super powerful weed. It actually can be used for salad, poke salad, earlier in the year. But I'll take the root, and I'll, about the size of my thumb, and let's say I'm wanting to make a tea with it first. So I'll put a quart of water and bring it to a boil, and I'll boil it for 20 minutes. Throw that tea away because it's poisonous. Put a second quart of water in there, boil it for 20 minutes, throw that away because it's poisonous. The third tea that you boil for 20 minutes, that can be ingested. That's not a problem. Then I'll take the root, and let's say I make a poultice out of it. I can then take it on a kitchen grater and grate it. And then you can either just take that and apply it to the affected area, or I like putting some psyllium in it, psyllium whole, or psyllium powder. I mean, psyllium powder works better. I'll put some psyllium in it, make a patty, and then apply it to, let's say, the breast cancer. And that's a poultice. But yet you can do like a potato poultice or an onion poultice. This is back in 2015. I need to do this again. It took a little while. I went through this whole book looking for every single person that died from a poisoning. And that took a little while. I just need to do it again. And I went through that and went through every single one. And I only found one from an herb. And it was here. And it was cinnamon. You see the essential oil? It was cinnamon. And it was a 4-year-old child got a hold of the parent's cinnamon essential oil and consumed it. And the child died. But that could happen with Clorox under the kitchen sink or Drano or whatever. They just didn't put it up. But there was no other, I went through the whole book, not one other count of any other herb. That was it. There was a lot of medication deaths that came from there. Doesn't that look good? That's just a good picture. the Bible there. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which there is fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Now that's interesting, the word meat. Does that mean beef or chicken? What's meat mean? Food. That's right. Meat there means food. And you'll see that in other places in the Bible. In the midst of the tree of it, and on either side of the river, was there a tree of life, which bare 12 manners of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. And by the river, upon the bank thereof, on this side and on that side, shall grow all trees for meat. Again, is it for beef or chicken? No, it means food. Whose leaves shall not fade, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to his months, because their waters they issued out of the sanctuary, and the fruit thereof shall be for meat, and the leaf thereof for what? Medicine. And so we see the plant life to be for medicine and for food. And there came also Nicodemus, which at first came to Jesus by night and brought a mixture of myrrh. Who's used myrrh? What do you use myrrh for?
Shampoo and body wash.
Shampoo and body wash. Who else? Okay.
I use it when I'm having sinus congestion. I'll put it on the back of my neck or behind my ear.
As an essential oil?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else use myrrh? Yes?
Burns, also GI symptoms.
Okay, yes. I like myrrh for wounds. It's excellent for wounds. It's also very, very good for gum issues. You see it in toothpaste or in mouthwash. It's great for gum issues. We'll talk about that tonight. How about aloe? Most all of us have used aloe. Yes, it's great for sunburn or wounds. GI. It's probably one of my favorite for the GI, aloe vera. About 100-pound weight. Then took they the body of Jesus and wound it in linen cloths with the spices, as the manner of the Jews is to bury. Purge me with what? And I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Who wrote this? And what does hyssop do? It can purge you. Yeah, clean you out. For Isaiah had said, let them take a lump of figs and lay it for a plaster upon the boil, and he shall recover. Who's ever used figs? Figs can be used for cancer, for boils. You can take just a fresh fig and cut it open and apply it, or scoop it out and apply it. Or you can take a dried fig, hydrate it, and apply it to a bowl, or scoop it out and use it to an area for cancer, or apply the dry one to the cancer.
I put it on my hernia.
On the hernia, okay.
Made a paste with it.
Okay, made a paste?
Yeah.
Yes, figs are very healing. A lot of nutrients in the figs. Yes. When the Lord told Hezekiah that he would spare his life for 15 years, and as a sign that he would fulfill his promise, cause the sun to go back 10 degrees, why did he not put his direct restoring power upon the king? He told him to apply a bunch of figs to his sword, and that natural remedy, blessed by God, healed him. The God of nature directs the human agent to use natural remedies now. Let's see. The true method for healing, now true means there may be an untrue, for healing the sick is to tell them of the herbs that grow from the benefit of man. We can, let's see here. Let's go to the herb cabinet. Anybody have a cabinet of herbs? Anybody? Let's look at the first herb. We're going to look at alfalfa. Who's ever used alfalfa? What did you use it for? Pardon?
Nutrients.
Nutrients, absolutely. Alfalfa is an excellent nutrient, and we used it for our cattle, for horses. You put a bale of alfalfa over there and put you a bale of fescue over there. Where are the goats going? Where are the cows going? They know better. Yeah, they'll go to the more nutritious. What part do you use? You use the whole flowering plant. You can also use the germinating seed. What is the concern that might be out there regarding alfalfa today?
Pesticides?
It's now a GMO. It's also Roundup Ready. So it's a GMO. It's genetic. I'm sorry, let me back up. I'm not sure on the Roundup Ready. I know it's a GMO. I know it's genetically modified. I won't go into the effects tonight. It gets a little more deep, but let's look into the uses. It's an antioxidant, asthma, bladder, hot flashes. Alfalfa can help from a hormone standpoint. Increase breast milk, and I've used it before for that area. We talked about that issue last evening. Increases urine flow. It's good as an anti-inflammatory. Kidney stones, just kidneys in general, can help to lower blood pressure, can help to lower blood sugar, helps to lower cholesterol. And as I mentioned last night, I don't want to use an herb to correct a problem and keep having the problem. Let's look at cholesterol. There's several causes of high cholesterol. One of them is, well, let me back up. Let's say you got a kitchen sink, and you've got a hole about this big that the water comes out. And you have a hole about this big that the water drains out of. If you turn both spigots on, is our plumber here tonight? Oh, two of you. Okay, you turn both spigots on, is it going to overflow if it's not occluded? If you designed it well, it's not going to overflow. But what if you went and started pouring 5 buckets of water into the sink? Is it possible to overflow? Yes, because the bottom hole was designed for the little hole, even though both spigots were on, but it wasn't designed to pour additional water in quantity. Does that make sense? Our body was not designed to take on cholesterol in quantity other than the body making it. My cholesterol used to be, I went and got it tested, and it was 288. And the guys at work said, "Oh, Walt, you got to go on a statin. Because look at your daddy and your granddaddy, you're genetically predisposed." Well, I didn't like the side effects of the statin. And so I decided to go on a no added cholesterol diet. Kind of like a no added salt diet for hypertension. So I went on a no added cholesterol diet for hypercholesterolemia. Well, it went down to 104 when I quit pouring in the cholesterol. So the body is made, what will happen if we had 0 cholesterol? You would die. You have to have cholesterol. But God made it to where you have just the right amount and you get rid of it as that process takes place in your body. Under normal circumstances, everybody does fine. There's some outliers, but most everybody that works just fine. The problem is a couple. One is we're pouring in extra cholesterol. Now, how do you know if there is cholesterol in your food? Can you tell if food has cholesterol in it? Animal food. If it's got a mama. or if it has a mother, it has cholesterol. So let's look at my favorite sandwich. I like tomato sandwiches, so we call them tomato sandwiches where I'm from. Does the bread have cholesterol in it? We'll come back to bread. No. Does the mayonnaise have cholesterol in it? Possible, unless you have vegetables. But if what's in the mayonnaise that may have cholesterol? Eggs, yes. Okay. Does the tomato have cholesterol in it? No. Does the lettuce have cholesterol? Okay. Does the cheese have cholesterol? Yes, that's Elsie. Okay. Does the bacon have? That's Miss Piggy. Does the salt have cholesterol? No. So you can real quickly tell what has cholesterol and what doesn't have cholesterol. But there's some other things that can cause cholesterol issues outside of just does it have a mama. Dr. William Davis, a cardiologist, he found back in 1990 that wheat, the American wheat, not the European wheat, but the American wheat, which has been hybridized from, say, 14 chromosomes up to 142 chromosomes, Davis found that that wheat, which is the wheat that we eat here in North America, for the most part, it can raise, though it doesn't have cholesterol in it, it can raise LDL. Well, that's not a good thing. So you want to be cautious. Now, what has wheat in it? Bread, pasta, cereal, crackers, pie crust, cake, Twinkies, you know. So a number of things have wheat. And so if you have high cholesterol and you've gotten rid of all of the animal products and you still have high cholesterol, then you may want to look at, could it be a wheat issue from the American wheat? Another thing that we found, I was noticing as I was comparing our numbers to other places that our HDLs were dropping lower than other lifestyle centers as I benchmarked. Well, I expected HDLs to drop in lifestyle, changing food, because as total cholesterol comes down, you can see HDLs come down, but it was dropping more than everybody else. So why was the HDL dropping? So we started studying and looking and looking and looking. What did we do different than the other places? Well, our dietary department did a lot of cashews. We did cashew gravy, cashew milk, cashew butter, cashew loaf, cashew. A lot of cashews. Why didn't our dietary department use a lot of cashews? It's vegan, and it's rich in taste. And it was to help those patients that were coming off dairy to have something that was rich, like milk. So we said, let's try this. So we stopped using cashews, and we went to almonds. Guess what? The HDL didn't drop. We tried it again. Another session, the HDL didn't drop. So I told dietary, let's quit using the cashews. And everything went fine. Until about 6 months down the road. I started noticing as I was monitoring labs, HDL's dropping a little bit, then a little more, then a little more. So I went to dietary and I said, are we using cashews again? Have you ever caught a kid with their hand in a cookie jar? How did you know? The labs told me. But it tastes so much better and it's so much. We weren't able to control how much cashews we were doing. Now, cashews in moderation, I don't find an issue there. But if you're doing cashews a whole lot, that can lower HDL. And HDL is kind of like the cops. They go out and look for the bad guys, the LDL. They put handcuffs on them and take them to jail. And that keeps your cholesterol in order. So the wheat can cause a problem. Another thing that can cause problems with cholesterol is vitamin D level. They've found that there's a direct relationship, or can be a direct relationship, with your vitamin D and your HDL. So if you have a low vitamin D, it can affect your immune system, but it also can pull your HDL down. And so by bringing that vitamin D back up, it could possibly bring your HDL back up and help with that cholesterol issue. So if you're concerned about wanting to lower cholesterol, yes, alfalfa can help, but look at the cause of why you have high cholesterol. There's other things. There's red yeast rice, but red yeast rice is still a natural statin, so you got to take a CoQ10 with it. There's cholesterol pro, which I like work real well. Also something called listerol, which comes from cholesterol pro comes from a fruit, and listerol comes from garlic. So alfalfa, though, can lower cholesterol. Menopause. So we notice here hot flashes, breast milk, menopause. You see some night sweat, see some hormone issues going on here. Metabolic health, osteoarthritis, prostate, protects the DNA, rheumatoid arthritis, tooth decay, upset stomach, uric acid retention, whooping cough, weakness or chronic weakness. May reactivate lupus symptoms, so just be cautious there. May cause uterine stimulation or contractions. So, I mentioned that it will work to help breast milk, but do you want to start it too quick? No, because we don't want that baby coming too quick. So you just, as long as you study it and know what you're dealing with, it's going to be a huge tool for you to use. Astragalus. Anybody ever use astragalus? Astragalus is amazing, y'all. It's like frankincense. When in doubt, use astragalus. It's huge. Look at this. It's the root, astragalus root. Let's see here. We'll just go to uses. Adrenals. One of the big problems I see out there today is blown adrenals. Stress is the #1 diagnosis in America, we're told. And so stress blows the adrenals. Blown adrenals are going to help. They're going to affect hormones. It's going to affect thyroid. It's going to affect a lot of stuff. If you want to boost those adrenals back up, astragalus is a great tool to use. It helps with aging, the cardiovascular system. This is a cool one right here I like. You have a person having chemotherapy side effects. Astragalus is a great tool to use for helping with those chemotherapy side effects. Chronic asthma, colds, diabetes, the flu, free radical damage. Herpes simplex 1, immune system, increases cardiac output. So is that good to help for us? Absolutely. Increases sperm motility. What else works good for sperm motility? Walnuts are good for that. Inflammation kills tumor cells. That's a good one. Lowers blood pressure. Again, let's go back to the causes. You know, as we look at blood pressure, and I drop in a few of these for y'all because I just want you to realize we don't want to mask and manage with the good stuff. So as we look at hypertension, are we having issues with stress? Stress raises cortisol, stress lowers potassium, blood pressure goes up. Stress is the major cause of hypertension, according to Dr. Agatha, according to Dr. Ted Watkins and other physicians. That's what they find is the biggest issue out there that they found with high blood pressure is stress. Not surprised. #1 diagnosis. #2, dehydration. Dehydration, the blood is thicker and stickier. Dehydration, The brain doesn't work as well because it's dehydrated. It leads you more back to the issue of stress. Dehydration. The kidneys don't have enough water going to them. And kidneys got to have water to function properly. And the kidneys are the switches that regulate blood pressure. So if you're restricting water to the kidneys, they don't work as well. Now the switches don't work as well, and now you can have high blood pressure. It's through urination that you get rid of sodium, through urinating. And if you're not drinking enough, the hypothalamus in the brain goes, hey guys, there's a drought, hold fluids. And now you're not urinating as much, now you're not getting rid of the sodium as much. The other thing is conductivity, or the electricity in the body. If you're dehydrated, the electricity goes up. And a high conductivity in the body raises blood pressure. That's the other reason salt's an issue. It affects conductivity. The next one would be obesity, and there's a lot of research out there on obesity causing hypertension. Another one is kidney function or renal failure. Again, the kidneys are the switches that regulate blood pressure. So if you're in renal failure or having kidney problems, other than just not drinking enough water, but there's actual kidney disease or kidney issues, that can cause blood pressure issues. Or are you eating too much salt? That, again, salt can cause that conductivity to go up and your electricity in the body. One of my professors, he explained it this way. Let's say you got a blow dryer and you go and you plug it in, you dry your hair at 110, it works fine. He says, now go plug that blow dryer into your car battery. Is that going to work? No, it's only 12 volts. But let's say you go down to Australia and you plug it in. Or over to Africa and plug it in. That's 220. You're going to blow up your blow dryer. It's not made for that. Well, our body needs a certain level of electricity, and salt, dehydration, affects that level of electricity. It's conductivity. And then another one is clogged arteries. Another one is, you're a smaller hole. And so the pressure's going to go up. Hardening the arteries. Instead of that pipe flexing when your heart beats, it's rigid, so the pressure's going to go up. Or is it a heart issue? So there's a lot of things you want to look at for high blood pressure, and you don't want to just treat it with astragalus. Though astragalus can help to get it down while you're working on those lifestyle issues. Does that make sense? Okay. Lowers cortisol. That's going to help with blood pressure just as it is. Stress raises cortisol. Elevated cortisol is going to raise blood pressure. Lowers triglycerides. Memory enhancing. That kind of goes along with what we talked about today. Prevents plaque buildup. That can also be a blood pressure issue. Regulates calcium homeostasis in the heart. Relieves insulin resistance. Now, I don't want to just use astragalus to address diabetes. There's a whole list of stuff that we can talk about diabetes, how to address diabetes. And let's reverse the diabetes, not just manage it with trying to manage that insulin sensitivity with astragalus. Stress, astragalus helps with stress. Ulcers, increases urination, vasodilation, wound healing. So there's a lot of stuff that astragalus is really beneficial for. Precautions: consider discontinuing prior to an elective surgery, as it may increase the risk of bleeding. Okay, so we just want to use some horse sense there. Caution should be taken with receiving immunosuppressive therapy, such as transplant patients, due to the immunostimulation properties. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Move on. Just some cautions. Bilberry. Who's ever used bilberry? Okay, what do you use bilberry for?
Eyes.
For the eyes, yeah. Anybody know where that was identified? It was identified in England during World War II. There was a young boy. He was in the British Air Force. And because that's where they lived, that's where the war was. And so he wasn't traveling from America over there. His mama was close. And she would bring the boys food to eat. And he'd share it with the other Air Force base there, or the air base. And the food had bilberries in it, the muffins and the different things she would bring. they noticed that the boys started becoming aces very well, better than other places. And they started looking at it. And they started then giving it to the other boys. They even told our American pilots about it. And I learned this story from an American pilot in World War II who was in his 90s and still had perfect vision because he didn't stop taking the bilberry when he left Europe during World War II. And he told me the story of how, you know, that then came to the American troops learning for the American pilots. You can use the dried leaves or the ripe or dried berries. And we'll look at that in a moment. Atherosclerosis, again, clogged arteries, bladder stones, bloating. That's a good blood thinner. It's good for cataracts, diabetic retinopathy. Can diabetic retinopathy be reversed? Yes, it can. Absolutely it can. Now, just ask my optometrist. He says, Walt, I didn't believe it until I started getting, my patients started coming over there and you started helping them. And he says, the diabetic retinopathy is gone. Isn't that cool? That is so cool. Diarrhea, dysentery, eye problems, gastric ulcers, hemorrhoids, blood circulation, kidney function, myopathy, again an eye issue, blindness, an eye issue, platelet aggregation, Raynaud's disease. Raynaud's issue is where we're having some issues with circulation. I'm looking for it. I don't see that over there. Okay, scurvy, ulcers, varicose veins, vasoprotective, venous insufficiency. So it is. So what happens, I got my spot on the ground, I can't go past. Venous insufficiency is an issue here. And so if we can increase the vascular flow, we can help with the Raynaud's disease. That's why we use like Yohimbe. Yohimbe helps with vascular flow, and that's going to help with Raynaud's. Wounds. Well, why is it going to help with wounds? Two major keys to wounds. Adequate nutrition and adequate perfusion. Those are the two big issues. Good nutrition, increase that, get that blood flow working well, and that wound's going to heal well. Do not use leaves longer than 3 weeks at a time. I mentioned there's a difference between leaves and berries. The leaves lower blood sugar levels, so insulin-dependent diabetics should not take them in infusion without professional guidance. I put that here for a reason. Now let's dissect this. Leaves lower blood sugar levels. Is that a good thing? It's a good thing. So insulin-dependent diabetics should not take them infusion without professional guidance. Well, what could happen? It could go too low, but a lot of people would say, ooh, that's dangerous. We shouldn't use that. So what's happening here? So they're taking, they are insulin dependent, so that means they're using insulin, and it's keeping them here. So you start taking the bilberry leaves, and what's it do? Pushes it down, pushes the glucose down. So what do? You work with your naturopathic doctor, what's the other word? What? Lifestyle medicine doctor, your integrative medicine doctor, your healthcare practitioner, and they will show you how to cut back then, and it pulls the spring back up, and so now it's managing it with the bilberries. But again, let's not manage it, let's just plumb get rid of it. And so if you plumb get rid of the diabetes, you don't even need to have the bilberries. But a lot of people will see this and say, oh, that's dangerous. We can't mix the two, so I guess I have to stay on insulin the rest of my life. No, that's not the fact there. Black cohosh, fresh or dried root. Blood circulation, bronchitis, epilepsy, fertility. Black cohosh we think of again with hormones, hot flashes, inflammation, kidneys, liver, lowers the blood pressure, lymphatic system, malaria, menopausal symptoms, mucus, muscular pain, nervous disorders, osteoporosis, peripheral circulation, ringing in the ears. That's a tough one. Tinnitus is a tough one. See if that may help you if you have issues with tinnitus. I haven't found a huge bath for tinnitus. When I go to Africa, they tell me they tell me ginkgo works great, but I'm just not seeing the big bath. Kudzu IV is the best research I've seen for tinnitus, but I just don't know where to find the kudzu IV. But try black cohosh if you're having ringing in the ears. Spasms, uterine problems, vasodilator, yellow fever. Not to be taken during early pregnancy, except in combination with other herbs as directed by an experienced midwife or herbalist. Can be used in the final weeks of pregnancy to ease or induce labor, but only under the supervision of an experienced midwife or herbalist. I had a lady come in one time, a young girl come in one time, and she wanted black cohosh and blue cohosh. And she wanted copious amounts of both. And she was ready. She had enough, she was done, and she wanted black cohosh, blue cohosh, and massive amounts to get that baby out now. I said, girl, you can't do that. And she says, oh, I can. I said, no, I'm not going to sell it to you. I said, just a minute. So I got a good friend of mine on the phone, Kathy Davies. Kathy is an excellent midwife. Got her on the phone. I said, please talk some sense into this girl. And she talked to her. It can be dangerous, so you want to use the right amount. Large doses can produce vertigo, tremors, low pulse, vomiting, nervous system irritation, headaches at the base of the skull. Black walnut. Who's used black walnut? Okay. Who's eaten black walnuts? Oh, they're delicious. But the best black walnuts are Appalachian black walnuts. The black walnuts you buy in the store are nasty to me. They're just bitter. But ours are sweet. Our black walnuts are actually sweet. But black walnut is used, what do most people use black walnut for?
Parasites.
Pardon?
Brushing your teeth.
Okay, brushing your teeth.
Parasites.
Parasites, worms, yes. The bark, the leaves, the nut, the hull, those parts are used for the black walnut. Abscesses, acne. It's a blood purifier. That's why it's going to help with acne. You want to get rid of acne? The best thing I found for acne is chaparral. You've ever used chaparral? Mm-hmm. Pardon?
Yes, I have.
Ooh, who's drank chaparral? Anybody drink besides Mary Lou? You need a clothespin along with it. It is nasty. It grows in the high desert of Arizona near Flagstaff area. It grows in the mountains of California. But chaparral is phenomenal for acne. It's also great for cancer. It's a great blood purifier. Athlete's foot, blood sugar, boils. That's why I like it so much for boils. It cleans the blood. Cancer, colitis, diphtheria, eczema, fungus, goiters, gum disease, hemorrhoids, herpes, stops lactation. So be cautious with it. You don't want to do that unless you need to. Liver congestion, lupus, malaria, oxygen deficiency in the blood. Have we seen any issues of oxygen deficiency in the last several years? Parasites, internal, pinworms, ringworms, also syphilis. Tapeworms, more worms. Tuberculosis, valley fever, and just worms in general. Black walnut is good for those items. Not recommended for long-term use both internally or externally. A lot of times folks will use black walnut and wormwood they'll take like an extract, they'll do a half an ml twice a day. Over a 2-week period, they will crescendo to 2 mLs twice a day. Stop for 1 week. That allows the eggs to hatch, because you killed all them first folks the first 2 weeks. Let the eggs hatch, and then the next 2 weeks, again, start half ml and twice a day, crescendo over a 2-week period, 2 mLs twice a day, and then you'll get rid of the rest of it. Works quite well, but it's not just take it all the time. Black walnut orally, at least 1 hour after medications you take by mouth. What else do we worry about with medications and timing? What do we not take when we within 2 hours either side of medication? Charcoal, yeah. Bone set, the leaf or the flower. Arthritic pain, bronchitis, cough, cholera, colds, constipation. Now let's go back and let's look at one of them. Constipation. Let's look, why is there constipation? First thing, are they drinking enough water? Number 2, because it affects, the hypothalamus goes, oh, where's some more water? Let's suck that. Number 2, is there enough fiber? Is there enough exercise? Now, I can have people come in who are drinking adequate water, getting enough fiber, and getting the exercise. But when they add this 4th one, when they're not doing it, boom, it starts working. And John Harvey Kellogg talks about this. He says, eat breakfast, dinner, if you do supper, breakfast, dinner, supper, the same time every day. Remember when we were kids and we would go to Grandma's house? If you went there at a time other than meals, you didn't eat. Right? Don't touch that food, boy. You're going to spoil your appetite. Remember those things? Those old folks ate at this time, you ate at this time, you ate at this time. It was very structured. Another thing Kellogg found was, he says, when you have the urge, you should be as the natives. And a lot of people are busy. They might be a truck driver. They might be a cashier at Walmart. And they won't let them just go and take a break whenever they got to take a break. And they just got to hang on to things. And Kellogg said that people who don't go as the natives, when you get the urge, the brain starts ignoring the urge. And you have to retrain the brain to identify the urge. We used to do that with something called potty training on older ladies. And we actually documented in care plan as potty training. And the nurse would take the female patient into the bathroom, turn the sink on. Mrs. Jones is sitting there. Mrs. Jones then starts to urinate, and the nurse says, Mrs. Jones, did you feel that feeling before you urinated? Now go home, and every 2 hours, turn the sink on, drink plenty of fluids, but turn the sink on, and identify what that feeling is. So as her brain starts re-identifying that feeling, that urgency to urinate, Kellogg said, if we identify the need for a bowel movement, immediately go. And then every time you identify that need for a bowel movement, immediately go. He says you'll then identify more frequently, and the brain will start identifying it more sooner and sooner until you get more regular. Yes, there's ways of massages or whatever. And then if fiber, how much fiber is in dairy? How much fiber is in meat? How much fiber is in processed foods? Yeah, very little to none. So where is our fiber? Our fruits, grains, nuts, seeds, vegetables, those guys. Those nuts are a great source of fiber. The grains are a great source of fiber. Just some really good fiber there. How much fiber do we need? When I was in school, they told us that we needed 25 grams of fiber. You're seeing some nutritionists recommend as much as 50 and 60 grams of fiber today. But fiber is very beneficial. So you can use bone set for constipation, but let's get to that root cause and deal with it. Encephalitis, fever treatment, flu, indigestion, inflammation, loss of appetite, malaria, measles, mucus buildup in the lungs, mumps, rheumatism, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, scarlet fever, stimulates white blood cells. Sweat inducer, tones inflamed tissues, typhoid fever, viral infections, therefore like a virus, worms again, and yellow fever. Health risk or side effects following the proper administration and the designated therapeutic doses are not recorded. So there's no problems if they're using the right therapeutic dose. Let's see, I'm looking for the time here. Burdock. Who's ever used burdock? Oh, that's a great tool. It's a great tool. I like burdock root. You can use the root, the seeds, the leaves. I like the root a lot. I mean, look at all those effects. It's amazing.
We were taught that it was poison. The leaves were poison.
Pardon?
We were taught that the leaves were poison.
On the burdock?
But they're not.
I've only used the root. Have you ever used the leaves?
No.
I've only used the roots. According to the PDR for herbal medicine, the leaves are usable, but I've never used them, so I can't answer that one. I do more research. Yes.
We've had them in soup. We've had burdock leaf in soup.
You put burdock leaf in soup?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the rhubarb. The leaves are not edible.
Okay. Okay, so he uses the burdock leaves in soup. Okay, good. I've only used the root. Abscesses, antidote for certain acute poisonings, arthritis, blood acidity, blood cleansing, cancer. When you see this one, you're normally going to see cancer. When you see cancer, you're going to normally see this one. Cough, detoxification, glandular problems, herpes, hormone balancing, iron deficiencies. What's another good one for iron deficiencies? Blackstrap molasses. Tablespoon twice a day of blackstrap molasses is amazing for iron. But burdock is also good. Kidney function, liver purification, lymphatic system, measles, prolapsed uterus, skin sores, skin issues, especially sores. Many times is a blood issue. So when you come back and you're cleaning the blood, whether it's a bowl, I like also using it for bowls. You can address those skin sores, which is a bowl skin sore. Sore throat. My favorite for sore throat is slippery elm. Slippery elm is phenomenal for sore throat. Just put a teaspoon in your water, shake it up, and you're taking your sips of your water. It's going to go through, it's going to soothe that sore throat. It works really well. Swelling, syphilis, tonsillitis, urine flow. No health hazards or side effects are known in conjunction with the proper administration of designated therapeutic doses. Let's see here. How long shall we go?
How do folks feel? I mean, most of you are going to be here for the 7 o'clock meeting as well.
Yes.
Would you like to hear a little bit more, or?
Keep going.
Keep going? Okay. Great. Butcher's broom is the root to the rhizome, actually. It's aneurysms, arteriosclerosis. That's the hardening of the arteries. Bruises, capillary weaknesses, circulation to the brain. Is that important? Absolutely it is. So diuretic, headaches, hemorrhoids, inflammation, and jaundice. Leg hernias, lowers cholesterol, menstrual problems, peripheral circulation, phlebitis, strengthens the bone vessels. Blood vessels, strengthens the blood vessels, stroke prevention, thrombosis prevention, varicose veins. Butcher's broom and, help me, Mary Lou. Horse chestnut. Those are my two favorite for varicose veins. Work very, very well.
I haven't heard of butcher's broom before. Is it, but I saw like bruises. Is it something you put like a poultice on?
You can do it internally, or you can do it as a poultice. Either one.
But it's a plant.
It's a root, it's a rhizome, which looks kind of like a root.
Or it'll be in salves.
It can be in salves, so you can topically put it on. And so you'll see some salves that you can use externally for, say, varicose veins, and then you can take it internally for varicose veins. No health hazards or side effects are known in conjunction with the proper administration of designated therapeutic doses. And again, that's the physician's desk reference for herbal medicine. Calendula, a great tool. Some people say calendula. I call it calendula. The leaves, the flowers, and the petals. Uses. Do you know the Restrepo's?
What was it?
Dr. Nelson Restrepo?
No.
My youngest son, Carson, we've gone to pick up some bees, and we went with our station wagon and we stapled the box like we should and put on the screen on the front, and a bee got out. Not only got out, but it got out. We're driving back home, and a bee stung Carson right here. And didn't worry about it. We'd had bees for a number of years. And Carson said, my face is swelling. And I looked at it, well, it's starting to swell up pretty good. It's starting to swell up towards the nose. So I was getting ready to go past work, so I turned into the office. And Dr. Restrepo happened to be there. And went in, and she goes, oh, no problem. So she gets some calendula and makes a quick tea. And she puts it on a paper towel. And that by this time, she's starting to have swelling over to this side. And I'm worried about, issues of airway. And, swelling closed. And his eyes are swelling shut. So it's kind of getting kind of serious. And so she's just daubing this calendula tea on him. She's not worried. We prayed, kept daubing it and daubing it. And then here it goes back the other direction. And it totally went away. Isn't that cool? So cool. Calendula. Bleeding gums. It's a blood purifier. Blood purifier, so what's the other word you're looking for?
Cancer.
Cancer. Bruises, burns, chicken pox, cholera, cancer, cramps, earaches, fevers, flus, frostbite. Y'all got that up here, don't you? Gangrene, headaches, hemorrhoids, indigestion, inflamed eyes, jaundice, lupus, measles, delayed menstruation, aria, post-op healing, rashes, scorpion bites, skin injuries, skin irritations, sprains, and that's where you can go back to your fomentation and put it around that sprain. Now, on that sprain, do you want to use it hot in the first 24 hours? You want to use it cold. There's a debate out there. It used to be 24, then it went to 48. And there are some orthopedists saying we can go back to the 24. Some doctors are still saying stay at the 48. And there's kind of a debate there. But at least stay 24 of the cool. And then you can then start going to your warm. Stings. That's what Carson had. Stomach aches, stops bleeding, What's another really good one to stop bleeding? Cayenne pepper, yarrow, helichrysum, sunburns, syphilis, thrush. So if it's a baby, an infant, I use calendula for thrush. I'll make a little tea and it works really good for the thrush. If it's a child or an adult, I use padiarco. It's a little more aggressive. And so I'll use padiarco. But for infants, I'll use calendula. Varicose veins again. Avoid if allergic to plants in the ragweed, chamomile, or echinacea family. Makes sense? Because of its promotion for menstruation, pregnant women, breastfeeding women, and women seeking to get pregnant should avoid calendula teas. So work with your health professional there. Calendula can possibly interact negatively with sedatives due to its muscle relaxing abilities, as well as diabetics and blood pressure medications. So just monitor that. Who's ever used California poppy?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
About calendula?
Yes.
And I don't know if you gave it. So, I always use it with wounds a lot. And one of the things I was wondering was, like when it's a wound, sometimes we use hydrotherapy for it. Can you put the calendula in, like she had one that was a bad foot injury. Could I put it in the water and use it as a part?
Sure.
That can work.
Yes.
But it's a hot cold, that's why I was just wondering.
Right. Well, that's where if it's a sprain, the sprain you don't use in the hot, but this is a wound. Now, a wound, you may not want to go plumb hot, plumb cold, but you can go warm, cool. And we'll talk about that in our next class on wound healing. That'll be the very first one we talk about. But yes, you could put that in the water. It won't be a problem. And that's one that, doctors are scared to death of wounds getting wet. But anyway, ask the medical director. California poppy. Who's used California poppy? Anybody out there? My favorite for pain is wild lettuce. Who's used wild lettuce for pain? Wild lettuce is amazing. Who's ever heard of Bastyr University? Dr. Mitchell was the co-founder of Bastyr. He's a biochemist. Very, very smart man. And I called Mitchell years ago, probably 19 years ago, and I called Mitchell and I said, Mitchell, this is what I'm finding with wild lettuce in pain, as a pain killer. Is there any contraindication with any other medication? No. Is there any contraindication with any other herb? No. Is there any harm to any organs in the body with long-term use? No. Can you use it long-term for pain without any problems? Yes. Wild lettuce is phenomenal. But two others that I like using are California poppy and Jamaican dogwood. You can use them all three together, or use them, use two of them, or just try one of them. But I have added one extra to them, and that is skullcap as a nerving. And skullcap also helps with the Jamaican dogwood, the California poppy, or the wild lettuce. The parts you use, the above ground parts, it's used for aches, bedwetting, bladder diseases, calming, depression, insomnia, just like wild lettuce can be used for insomnia, liver diseases, long-term mental and physical tiredness, melancholia, mood swings, nerve pain, nervous agitation, neuropathy, organic neurosis, pain, relaxation to help relax, sedation, stress, vasomotor dysfunctions, and weather sensitivity. Have you ever heard of a person that has problems with weather sensitivity? Well, this is something you could possibly use for those people. Those are people who, and there's changes in weather, they can be very sensitive to that. Health risks or side effects following the proper administration of designated therapeutic doses are not recorded. Catnip. Who's ever used catnip besides giving it to your cat? Anybody? I have ladies come in. They'll be in their late 50s, their 60s. They're mad as a cat on a tin roof. I'm tired of this. That doc don't know what he's doing. Get me some catnip. I'm going to take care of that baby. What do they have? Croup or colic? It's amazing. Works great. It's the herb of the leaves. You can see the effects here. Let's go. You'll need an antiviral, antibacterial. Isn't it cool? Acute bronchitis, asthma. It's good for blood pressure, cancer, cataracts, chickenpox, colds. There's your colic. Decreases cigarette desire. What else can decrease cigarette desire? Pardon? Peppermint. Lobelia. Lobelia has a chemical in it that has the same similar effect on the body for the desire for nicotine, but it is not harmful effect. So when the body, as a person's quitting the cigarettes and they quit the nicotine, the body's craving the nicotine, the lobelia will give them the same satisfaction, but not the harmful effect. And you can help wean them off their cigarettes. Also, lobelia can make the cigarette taste kind of bad for some people. But catnip can help with cigarette desire. Diarrhea encourages menstruation. Fevers, flatulence, flu, headaches, hemorrhoids, hiccups, hives, induced childbirth, insanity. We need to take a big old truckload of that down to Washington, D.C. Jaundice, liver, lungs, measles, a mosquito repellent, nerves, and it's good for nerves, nightmares, overexcited children. Is there any medications you think that you might be able to see if you could change on that one? Reduces swelling, scarlet fever, scurvy, sleeplessness, smallpox, sore breasts of nursing mothers, stomach aches, toothaches, tuberculosis, upset stomach. It's good for upset stomach. Vomiting, whooping cough, expels worms, and also yellow fever. No health hazards or side effects are known in conjunction with the proper administration of designated therapeutic doses. Cayenne. Most all of y'all probably use cayenne pepper. It's amazing. There's your effects. Uses. Alcoholism. Probably the best one I found for alcoholism is kudzu. 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 Anybody ever been around kudzu? I have ladies who come in the store and they'll buy a bottle of kudzu and they'll take a bottle of multivitamins and pour it out. And they fill it with kudzu capsules. Put the top on it, hand it to their husband and say, "Here, hubby, here's your multivitamins." Kudzu has been found to lower the desire for alcohol 40 to 60%. And they use it to cut back the alcohol use of their husbands. Women use it for weight loss. It also can help with tobacco. Kudzu kudzu is just an amazing herb. In China, if the doctor can't figure out how to fix you, now that kudzu root, I've seen kudzu roots, pictures of them as big around as Mary Lou is. They're huge. But it will grow 30 to 50 feet deep. That's why you can't kill it, man. In the summertime, it will grow a foot a day. But the doctors will take the root and they will, have you ever used that as a chef? It's a thickener. What else, Mary Lou? It's a starch. Yeah, starch to make gravy and pasta. Okay. So you can use kudzu root. Well, doctors will take the root. Now there's little roots and big root. You want the big root. And the doctors will take the big root and they will dry it and they will pulverize it and they'll add water and cook it and make a gruel, kind of like a porridge. And the patient will eat a bowl of that every meal, and that's all, for 30 days. And they're able to get rid of gonorrhea, tuberculosis, just a number of different health issues with using kudzu root. I have a good friend, he's a missionary in China, and he says the women will get up in the morning, bring a pot of water to boil, throw in a chicken, throw in a root of kudzu, and that's what you're eating today. But it's very nutritious. But cayenne also is good for alcoholism. Arthritis. Have you ever heard of capsicum cream? Who's heard of capsicum cream? I had a lady call the other day. She says, do you have some capsicum cream? Mary Lou checked and we didn't. And she's a local lady, and I said, what are you using it for? She said, arthritis. I said, do you have any cayenne pepper in the kitchen? Yes. Do you have any hand cream? Yes. I said, you want to make your own? She said, sure. I said, it's a whole lot cheaper. I said, what you do is you take some cream, put it together, put some cayenne in there and make it pink in color, and then test it to the back of your hand. If it's too hot, what do? Add more cream. If it's not hot enough, add more cayenne. If it's too hot, add more cream. Until you get it where it's kind of like, I told her it's kind of like testing the back of your hand to bottled milk, when you heat it up bottled milk, to see if it's too hot. And you use that for arthritis. That's what the arthritis capsicum cream is. It's just cayenne pepper. Chilblains, difficulty swallowing, diarrhea, energy metabolism, fibromyalgia, fights colds, fights the flu, H. pylori, Helicobacter pylori, headaches, improves circulation. It's a great tool for increasing circulation. Increases gastric mucosal blood flow, inhibits the growth of cancer cells, joint pain, lowers high cholesterol, malaria, migraines, nerve pain, osteoarthritis, pain overall, prevents blood clots, prevents lung cancer in smokers. Best thing to do is stop smoking. Protects gastric mucosal injuries caused by aspirin, psoriasis, seasickness, stimulates circulation, stops external hemorrhaging. Now this is an interesting one. Stimulates circulation, but yet it stops external hemorrhaging. It can also stop internal bleeding. You can stop a stomach ulcer. You can stop bleeding from ulcerative colitis. Toothaches also can help with weight loss. Pardon?
What kind of cream do you use with the AI?
Just kind of a hand cream.
Just any kind?
Any kind of hand cream. Or you can put castor oil with it. You're welcome. Stop using cayenne pepper as a natural medication at least 2 weeks before scheduled surgery is recommended. Medications that slow blood clotting, such as anticoagulant and antiplatelet drugs, interact with cayenne pepper and should be avoided if one is using cayenne pepper as a natural health remedy. So look at what can you use as an anticoagulant, antiplatelet drugs. What is a good anticoagulant? What is a good blood thinner?
Vitamin E.
What?
Vitamin E.
Vitamin E?
Garlic.
Garlic? How about water? How about eating breakfast within an hour of waking up? If you don't eat breakfast within 1 hour of waking up, you increase your risk of for a heart attack or a stroke by 150% based on the platelets. Pardon? What happens is your platelets are thicker first thing in the morning. And when you get up and eat breakfast, it thins them out. Who has the book Proof Positive by Neil Nedley?
Yes.
Great tool. It's a great book. Neil talks about that in there. Who's heard of nattokinase? Nattokinase. Or as the Japanese call it, the natto plant. So they'll call it nattokinase. But nattokinase is a very, very good tool to use for anticoagulant. Chamomile. Who's used chamomile? What do you use chamomile for?
Sleep.
Sleep? Calming? Yeah, it's a good tool for that. The whole plant? Only the flowers? Here's your effects. Isn't that amazing? It's an antibiotic, antifungal, anti-inflammatory. Isn't that cool? It's also a nervine, like your skull cap. So it could be used, if say you can't get skull cap, you could use chamomile, and chamomile is more economical. Abscesses, acne, alcoholism, anxiety, appetite stimulant, bacterial skin ailments, so it's antibacterial there, bilious, bowel problems, calms the nerves, colitis, constipation, corns, breast cysts, dandruff, diarrhea, digestive aid, diverticulitis. The best thing I have found for diverticulitis on diverticulitis is to prevent the diverticulitis. Diverticulitis is diverticulosis, which then has challenges. Diverticulosis, according to a good friend of mine who's a gastroenterologist, could be because you ate food that was kind of hard, like nuts. You didn't chew it up well. You had constipation. It made a little pouch on the side of the colon. Well, he says you can't repair that except cut it out. And he says he doesn't like to cut it out because you then have to reattach the colon where you cut part of it out. And you can have some scarring issues there. And that can be even more of a problem than what you had with the diverticulosis. So the best thing is diverticulosis is not going to bother you as long as you don't make it mad. The ways you make it mad to cause diverticulitis is constipation, nuts and seeds. It might be strawberries, it might be tomatoes, it might be blackberries, it might be ground up flaxseed. So what do you do for diverticulitis? The best thing I've found is stop the cause, stop the constipation, quit eating the nuts, seeds, strawberries, whatever. And 3 capsules of golden seal, 3 capsules of golden seal 3 times a day. Normally within 24 to 48 hours, the diverticulitis is gone. Pretty cool. Drug addictions, again, chamomile, earaches, eczema, eye wash, flagellants, gallstones, gingivitis, headaches, heartburn, measles, menstrual cramps, nightmares, and increases circulation. May cause an allergic reaction to those who are sensitive to the ragweed, a variety of chrysanthemums. So if you're sensitive to ragweed or varieties of chrysanthemums, you might want to be cautious with the chamomile. Chaparral. Leaves or young twigs. Again, Who's used chaperone? Mary Lou's used it. The doc, he stepped out. Anyone else? It's a great tool. I like chaperone. Look at this. Antibiotic, anti-carcinogenic, that's not anti-carcinogenic, anti-inflammatory, antifungal, anti-tumor, antiviral. It's a blood purifier. So it's a blood purifier. What is it? Cancer. It's a great tool for cancer. Aching joints, acne, athlete's foot, boils, blood poisoning, blood purification, bowel disorders, cancer, cataracts. Cleanses the lymph system, colds, dangerous microbes, diarrhea, flu, glaucoma, hair growth, hay fever, kidney infections. The best thing I found for kidney infections is two things. Who's ever used D-mannose? It's amazing. It really is. We'll have docs send their patients as far away as Knoxville, an hour to us, to get D-mannose. It works for kidney infections, the UTI, even IC, interstitial cystitis. And it works good for that. And what it does, it works kind of like, who's done hay up here, around square bales? Do y'all use twine or wire? Twine? Okay. There's some places that use wire. And what they'll do is they will take, anybody ever use wire? They'll take a piece, a magnet, a little small, a lady's pinky finger, and they'll put it down the mouse, kind of like you give a big old pill to a cow with your little adapter thing. And they'll put a magnet in the first stomach. And if there's any wire that happens to be loose in the hay when they were cutting it, it will collect to the magnet. And then when they butcher the cow, they will take that magnet out, clean it off, and reuse it. Well, D-mannose works very similar. It comes from cranberries. It comes from blueberries. And so as it goes in, you'll do a teaspoon. What I find the most effective is 1 teaspoon every waking 2 hours. 1 teaspoon every waking 2 hours. You can do as much as 2 teaspoons every waking 2 hours. Usually 1 teaspoon does the job. And the ladies tell me itching, stinging, burning is gone within 15 to 20 minutes. And you take that and then force fluids. Because if you don't force fluids, you've got the D-mannose collecting the bacteria, and then it's eating on it. And as you urinate it out, it carries it out. If you don't force fluids, you'll eat it up and it says there's more birthday cake in 2 hours. And so you want to flush that out. I remember I was going by the nursing station one day and a physician was telling the nurse, I want 1 cup of cranberry juice every meal. The nutritionist happened to be sitting there and she said, that ain't enough, you need to give a quart each meal. Well, that's not an option. You've got a lot of fructose there, you've got an infection. And so the D-mannose works extremely well for that. Best thing, I think. But you can use chaperone. There's several things you can use for kidney infections. Leukemia, liver function, lungs, parasites, prostate problems, ringworms, sepsis, skin problems, stomach ulcers, strengthens the capillaries, toothaches, tuberculosis, venereal diseases, warts, and wounds. Due to the potential for liver damage, the FDA cautions against the internal use of chaparral. Chaparral is very safe to use if you use it like you're supposed to. Chaparral is an excellent tool. Overuse can cause problems of nausea, loss of appetite, gastric pain, and vomiting. But, again, if you use it like you should, they put that there. Again, remember the others by the PDR says if you use it normal, it's not going to be a problem. Well, it's chaparral safe. Chickweed. Who's ever used chickweed? What's the number one use of chickweed out there? Appetite suppressant. Appetite suppressant. Ladies come in and buy it, or men, to suppress the appetite. The dried herbs, the fresh flowers. There's your effects. We got the antiviral. Uses: aids digestion, appetite suppressant. That's the big one I sell it for. It's good for blood poisoning. Boils, breaks down cellulite, breast inflammation during lactation, burns, diaper rash. So there you go, you can use it for diaper rash. Eczema, eye inflammation, fevers, gout, heavy menstrual bleeding, hemorrhoids, inflamed bowels, malnutrition. You can have a person that's 500 pounds and still be malnourished. Is that true? They're eating empty calories. They're not eating nutrition-dense food. And they can be large and still be malnourished. Mouth sores, nosebleeds. I like cayenne pepper for nosebleeds. Another thing they taught us in school was take crushed ice and put it up under the gum, up under the lip against the gum. And that cold can help stop the nosebleed. But cayenne pepper is great. Just spray some cayenne pepper up the nose or snort some cayenne pepper one up. That'll stop it. Poorly healing wounds. Removes blood vessel plaque. Rheumatism, skin disorders, sore throat, stiffness of joints, stomach ulcers, swollen testes, throat sores, tissue repair, tuberculosis, and tumors. No health hazards or side effects are known in conjunction with the proper administration of designated therapeutic doses. I just find it interesting. Here they're saying there's no problem as long as used properly. Well, cayenne, they had to say, well, if you use too much, it could be a problem. Of course. Same thing with chickweed. If you don't properly use it, it could be a problem. If you drink too much water, it's a problem.
Can you go one slide back?
Sure. Cloves. Who's used cloves? Who's used clove oil? What you use clove oil for?
Dizziness.
Pardon?
Dizziness.
Dizziness. What else? Toothaches. Yes. Seeds, the dried flower bud. It's antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antiviral. It's amazing. Cloves. It's used for actually cancer. There is cancer there. Acne, anorexia, arthritis, atherosclerosis. That's clogged arteries. Athlete's foot. Bacilli. What's bacilli?
Bacilli.
What? Bacilli?
Bacilli. Bacterial infection.
Bacterial infection, okay. Bacterial infection, thank you, forgot. Bronchitis, cancer, colds, colic, mucus, colitis. That's very common in colitis, ulcerative colitis. There's a mucus, snotty-looking stool. Digestion, disinfectant, dizziness, dry socket pain. What's the best preventative of a dry socket? Don't smoke. Yes. Dysentery, dyspnea, dysmenorrhea, E. coli, earaches, epilepsy, flagellants, headaches, increases circulation, increases libido, indigestion, nausea, parasites, ringworm, skin ulcers, staphylococci, cysts, styes. I don't think I'm going to talk about styes tonight. I have a friend, he's an optometrist. And the first thing he looks at on styes, first is get rid of the makeup. And then he'll take a toothbrush. Now, this is an eye doctor. He takes a toothbrush that is real soft, a real soft toothbrush, and he puts the No More Tears shampoo on it. And he shows the patient how to real gently massage. And he said that works very well. You can actually, some optometrists have a little machine that can suck that out, but he likes using the massage. Stomach ulcers, streptococci, toothaches, that's the big one there, warts. No health hazards or side effects are known in conjunction with proper administration of designated therapeutic doses. Comfort.
You just need a cold compress or augmentation.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Be careful with hot on the eyes. Who do you think of in conjunction with putting really hot on their eyes and going blind? Helen Keller. So yes, you can put a fomentation on there. Yes. Comfrey, leaves or root. What do you think of comfrey used for?
Also, compact.
What?
Compact.
Okay, for your skin.
Muscle pain?
Muscle pain.
Bones.
Bones. That's the biggest one I think of. Bones. Yeah. Leaves or root. Let's look at the uses. Aids digestion, blunt injuries, bursitis, closed wounds, colitis. It helps to closes wounds, colitis, feeds the pituitary gland, gastritis, gastrointestinal ulcers, gum disease, hemorrhaging of the lungs, hemorrhoids, increases cell production, inflammation, men's broken bones. That's a big one. Pharyngitis, rashes, rheumatism, and also it's good for sprains. Stimulates new cell growth, stops hemorrhaging, strengthens the skeletal system. It's good for strep throat. My favorite for strep throat is just take golden seal, take a cup of water, bring it to a boil, plumb turn it off, make an infusion, put a teaspoon of golden seal in there, don't strain it, and just let it sit for about 30 minutes, and then take enough that you can gargle for 2 minutes every 2 waking hours. And it's amazing how quick it can wipe out strep. Supports rapid healing, swelling, tuberculosis. Here's another one for varicose veins. Healing, wound healing. Precautions, lengthy internal use is cautioned. There's a debate on that. There's some people say it's fine, some people say be cautious. I recommend folks always be cautious. Corn silk. We talked about corn silk earlier today. Y'all know what corn silk is. The fine, soft threads of corn. Acute, chronic, and chronically inflamed bladder. Acute and chronically inflamed prostate. Arteriosclerosis, that's hardening of arteries, bedwetting, bladder infections, boils, cardiac weakness, congestive heart failure, cystitis. It's a good diuretic. That's a good reason to use it for congestive heart failure, is the diuretic effect. Gonorrhea, gout, high blood sugar, high blood pressure. And then why high blood pressure? In 2000, we saw blood pressure medicine. Where do I have it here? Yes, in 2000, we saw them changing over using diuretics for hypertension. And so it's not surprised that as a diuretic, it's going to help with blood pressure. It's going to help with urination. It's going to help get rid of sodium. And so it's going to work similar to that hypertensive medication that's a diuretic. high cholesterol, inflammation, jaundice, kidney problems, malaria, obesity, reduces kidney stone formation, reduces the kidney stone formation. Now, if you want to bust up kidney stones, the best thing I have found is hydrangea root. Who's used hydrangea root? Everybody use hydrangea root. Hydrangea root busts the kidney stones, and then add gravel root to it, and gravel root will then help to get rid of it. And then there's a product out there called Stone Free. Use 3 mid-morning between meals, 2 at night between meals, and it works. Those 3 items work very, very well for kidney stones.
Where do you get the stone fruit from?
Your local health food store. Uric acid retention. No health hazards or side effects are known in conjunction with the proper administration of designated therapeutic doses. Look at my time here. Who's used Damiana? I use Damiana. Damiana is a good tool. Leaves and stems. Those are your effects. Uses: it's a blood purifier, clears the kidneys, cold symptoms, it's a diuretic, it's good for dizziness, exhaustion. It's a very good one there for exhaustion. Flu symptoms, general body cleanser, hangovers. Hopefully we're not having that problem. But if you know somebody, it might help them out as you work with them. Helps digestion, hot flashes. It does affect hormones. Impotency, increases sexual function. You'll find some men, but mostly women, will use this to increase libido. And there it is, low libido. Infertility, inflammation of the bladder, laxative, loss of power in the limbs, but it is a good libido increaser. Lung disorders, menopause, nephritis, nervous depression, nervous stability, Parkinson's disease, stimulant for the central nervous system, stimulates muscular contractions of the intestinal tract, strengthens reproductive organs. It's also good for vertigo. If you're looking for a real simple vertigo, there's something called D-vertigo, D-I vertigo, and it's 4 or 5 essential oils. You just put it behind each ear, and it works very, very well proactively to prevent. I have a friend, he's a doctor that used to drive to Atlanta a lot, and he lived up in northern Georgia, and he had to quit driving because he'd be in the left lane, and all of a sudden have vertigo, and he couldn't see to pull up. And he was scared he's going to kill himself, kill somebody else. So he started using the vertigo. And again, it's just the essential oils that's in it. And you proactively use it and go to Atlanta for work, for church, and then put it back on and you come home. But also, Damiana can be used for vertigo. No health hazards or side effects are known in conjunction with the proper administration of designated therapeutic doses. Dandelion. Y'all have dandelion up here?
Yep.
All right. The whole plant, leaves, roots, and seeds. Acne. Why? It's a blood purifier. Anemia. It's good for a blister, blood builder, blood purifier, boils. Again, this guy right here is going to deal with these. Acne is a blood issue. Clean that blood out, and it usually takes care of breast cancer, so we see blood purifier, now we're going up to cancer. Bronchitis, cirrhosis of the liver. I prefer the dandelion root on that one. Liver and kidneys, I prefer the dandelion root. The leaf, I prefer on inflammation, such as like congestion of the lungs, like for if you have I lost that. Isn't that terrible? Congestive heart failure. Or if you have edema in your legs. So I like the dandelion leaf for that. Bronchitis, what? Oh, thank you, Mary. The dandelion leaf for in the lungs or the legs. Thank you. She keeps me straight there. I forget sometimes. I get it talking. Cirrhosis of the liver, colds, corns, a diuretic. Both are a diuretic. Both the root and the leaves. I just like the leaf if I'm getting more for the legs or the lungs. Eczema, electrolyte balance. Why? Dandelions are a ton of nutrition. I mean, that dandelion is one of the major tools that they teach in survival.
There's a lot of coffee substitute drinks made out of dandelion root. I believe it's toasted though. Does that kill any of the effects of the dandelion having toasted?
It probably will, like Dandy Blend. Yeah, Dandelion Blend is a great product. I don't think you're going to get the same medicinal benefit, but it's a great tool. I sell a lot of it because it's a substitute for the coffee. Yeah. Okay, hepatitis, high uric acid, improves tooth enamel, joint stiffness, it's a laxative, lung infections, obesity, pneumonia, potassium rich. Dandelion is a good potassium rich product. Promotes digestion, reduces serum cholesterol, stimulates the appetite, stimulates bile flow, it's good for ulcers. Valuable survival tool, and that's true, it's taught in survival classes. Rich in vitamin A, and it's good for warts. No health hazards or side effects are known in conjunction with the proper administration of designated therapeutic doses. I'll tell you what, let's take a break here. And what are we doing now?
We have some fruit and we can pop some popcorn if
Excellent.
anyone wants to take a break.
Okay, and we'll be back at
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Okay, thank y'all.